So I'm guessing that you also, when you were playing either Elden Ring or Dark Souls, you kind of went, this dodge roll, that's pretty nifty. Is that how dodge rolling is gonna go?
It wasn't just that. I mean, it's not like that's the only game with dodge roll. The discussion for that honestly was, okay, we want to be an action game. Action games have dodge rolls. Like almost every good action game you can think of has a dodge roll. Why don't we? You know what I mean? Like we really should have this. And the same was true of active blocking as well, by the way.
Okay.
We were like,
I like active blocking, so I'm a big fan of Tera before it died. And there was a class there, the Lancer class, I believe, where you could block with his shield for like 3 seconds, but during the first second of block, it was way more effective, rewarding active play. Are you saying that there's going to be something like that?
There are absolutely things like that. So we've showed active block. What we haven't shown is more of the other stuff that will probably come in later on around this. So I can't announce any of that, but there will be more than this. And really it just comes down to, okay, we want to be an action game. What do action games have? We really should look and seriously consider, like all of those things. I mean, so like another example with that, with the blocking as well, is that it's very, very common in any kind of action game, the games these days, to have some kind of indicator for an unblockable attack, like this kind of red flash type thing you get in games. Absolutely. Like it took a while to convince people that we should have something like that, but we have added it now. It's something that's in the game. So things like that, like more of those just action game mechanics are things that you need to do if you want to be taken seriously as an action game. So that's the reason
I quite like indicators for unblockable attacks because, again, it's rewarding the player for paying attention to the game and then taking the correct action within the game, even if the indicator isn't necessarily a big red circle on the ground, but is the enemy model pulling back a massive hammer for a smash onto the ground, and you're thinking, yep, when he pulls the hammer back, roll out the way because I can't block that. So any kind of visual, audio, kind of flourish or cue that lets a player know, hey, you should consider not being here right now, I'm okay with that. That's quite cool.
It's kind of interesting though, because there was a weird one that came up recently where who was it? That's right, it was someone from Tencent actually, who was playing the game, and they fought against the second boss, the Devourer, and they said it was they died to it. And now what I expect now that so we've got checkpoints in the game now, we didn't before. So when you die to the boss, you just respawn right in front of it. You just play it again very quickly.
Okay.
And the expectation when you die for me is that you try again, and maybe 2 more times, and then you beat it, right? Because your skills improve.
Yeah, because you learn what to do. It's repetition. It's very similar to Elden Ring again. The respawn point is almost right outside the boss because the challenge, the fun bit of the game, is the boss, not getting to the boss.
Right. But this person's expectation was, I die to the boss, so therefore I'm going to go grind some more monsters to get more powerful equipment, rather than just play the boss again until I get good at it.
Okay.
And this was actually an interesting moment for me because I hadn't considered the fact that that could be a valid reaction that a player could have to that situation. And then their argument was, okay, like, are you a loot game or are you an action game? And I was kind of like, well, we're both. But they said, well, if you're a loot game, then you should be able to just go and grind some loot and then use that as a way to get past a boss rather than having to get good at action. And that was their view of that. Right. And I don't know if I fully agree with this, because to me, I feel like you need to have some level of technical skill, you might call it, of dodging and doing this kind of stuff to be able to defeat a boss, like learning the mechanics a little bit and so on. But the question is, to what extent do we embrace that? And so the question is, for the second boss of the game, should a player be able to just go grind some monsters for a while?
If the player is able to do that and it's the second boss of the game, you're effectively teaching the player that they can trivialize all the mechanics of the game by simply having a bigger number than the game wants you to have.
Correct, which is a bit of a tricky one. So yeah, I'm actually not sure what entirely to do about that, because as I said, it's not an expectation that I realized someone would have that early in the game. Like there presumably will be points where if you could be undergeared to the point where it's very difficult to do a boss. On the other hand, someone like Mark can beat a boss with extremely bad gear because he understands all the mechanics flawlessly to the point where he can dodge practically everything, and it's just a question of how long it takes to do damage after that point. So there are things like that can happen, but yeah, I don't know, like it's kind of an interesting one. But I guess what I would say that I end up with there is that I do believe that some amount of technical skill, sort of action game skill as it were, should be required to get through the game for the most part, and that is an important element to me. So that's where I am with that.
The chat's general reaction seems to be that we should balance the game around Mark. That's what it should be. It should be, if Mark is struggling, that's fine. If Mark is able to do it, that's probably the kind of difficulty it should be at. Personally, I'm very much of the opinion that that Tencent guy sounds like a skill issue, sounds like they should just get better at the game. Yep. But unfortunately, there is that kind of mindset of, I have struggled at this, therefore the problem must be with the numbers of my character, the gear, the stats, not in any way me. And it's difficult to kind of self-reflect on that. From a YouTube point of view, because mostly I just make YouTube videos, I can guarantee that somebody will watch Path of Exile 2 beaten on lowest possible gear, lowest possible numbers, lowest possible damage, lowest possible health. Very few people are going to watch Path of Exile beaten by being massively overpowered and just walking through all the bosses. I mean, that's...
Well, you say that, and yet, if you look at all of the top Twitch streams right now...
I mean, oh yeah, they're incredibly powerful. They're just righteous fire and standing there and doing all that cool stuff, which will happen. But it's always difficult. It's always interesting to see people beat a puzzle effectively giving themselves a stat-based handicap of saying, I'm going to do this with the lowest possible numbers. But the idea of just going away, grinding, getting more powerful, and going back to the boss, I just like throwing myself against the boss again and again and again until I eventually win. Well, that, of course, is something you've got to consider when we do this. Let's go on to the next question. Sorry,
there was just one thing that I was wondering about when I was thinking about this, which was like, is there a difference in culture between China and the West with regard to
hugely,
this?
Massively.
Like, I wonder if that can be one of the reasons why that was a different reaction there.
Well, as soon as you said that the Tencent guy failed to beat the boss, I just imagined him straight away taking a credit card out and being like, right, where's the better armor? Where's the better weapons? Where can I get health potions? Can I just skip this? Why can't I just pay to win? That kind of stuff. And then when you said, no, you've got to play the game, they were like, oh, right, okay, I don't get that.
Anyway, you were saying.
Don't worry, it's okay. I'm sure they'll be okay with this. Everyone in the chat's like, oh, he went there. It's okay, don't worry, they'll be fine with this. Let's go to the next question.